What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a week 4 recap of the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And holy smokes, this was an absolute offensive juggernaut of a game. I mean, the final score 42-30. Absolutely incredible. 72 points was scored in this game. I mean, where was the defense? Holy smokes. I mean, a lot of the Kansas City Chiefs fans are questioning where the Kansas City Chiefs defense is actually at, but that's something we're definitely going to talk about. Before we really dive in and start talking about statistics and a true recap of this game, I always ask that you guys smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, comment down below. The support has been absolutely incredible. I can't thank you guys enough for everything you guys are doing. This truly is an absolute amazing thing to do, and I enjoy it and enjoy the support and the interaction. I really do. So thank you. Now let's jump into this game and really recap and break down. First thing we're going to do is kind of talk about, how the game went from an overall, kind of standpoint. I mean, it was in Philadelphia, and a lot of people going in, I even predicted myself that I felt it was going to be kind of a blowout Kansas City related. That wasn't the case. Philadelphia hung in there. Jalen Hurts put on an absolute display. Devonta Smith absolutely put on a display. The Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama, former Alabama quarterback that transferred to Oklahoma, and Jalen Hurts really put on a display, like I said. I mean, there were definitely some things to keep an eye on. Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz both had some very good game. And so I really think that there was a lot from the Eagles and the Eagles fan base that they could take. The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, Patrick Mahomes threw for 5 touchdowns, ladies and gentlemen. That's incredible in itself. He did throw 1 interception, but ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Mahomes is clicking and he's turning it on, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about him and Tyreek Hill as well. But, man, this game, it really kind of was – just one of those offensive, like I stated earlier on, it was a juggernaut for sure. I mean, 2 teams going at it, just throwing touchdown to touchdown, a field goal here. There was 0 punts in this game. If that tells you anything, there were 0 punts in this game. And that's absolutely incredible. Man, it was a really good football game to watch. It had some people on edge at times. There was a potential turnover that wasn't challenged. Annie was asked about that in his press conference. He stated that they didn't get a chance to replay it based on they weren't given the opportunity to look at it, so they didn't feel the need to challenge it. And then obviously he said, later on they saw it in breaking down film and said that it's something they should have. It was definitely on the opposite end of the field where he kind of had a bad vantage point, but those things do happen. It is what it is. But yeah, Ben Niemann forced the fumble. It was a pretty good licking, and then he recovered it, but it ended up not getting challenged, and it ended up staying with the Eagles. So, but we're gonna jump in. We're gonna dive in and talk about some stats. So my face will disappear, and ESPN will pop up, as you guys can see. Man. Again, Patrick Mahomes, 24 of 30, 278 yards, averaged 9.3, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 sack, a QBR of 90.9, and a rating of 131. I mean, that right there alone, that's a stat line in itself. Jalen Hurts on the opposite end, 32 of 48, 387, averaged 8.1, 2 touchdowns, was sacked 3 times, which is incredible from this Chiefs defense. His QBR was 39.2, but a rating of 105.1. I really think Jalen Hurts, after coming off of the game, playing in Dallas on primetime, I think Jalen Hurts had a pretty solid game. To go with that, he also rushed for 8 carries, 47 yards, average 5.9. I think, it shows that Jalen can be somewhat of a dual threat, and it's something that you have to consider when you're playing him. One thing that I was beyond excited again, this was 3 carries less than last week, but for 14 carries, Clyde got 102 yards, averaged 7.3 yards with this newly revamped offensive line. Those boys were working. I mean, sometime, there was some holes that were, holy smokes, as wide as a 4-lane highway. I mean, they were blowing holes for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to run through. He just had to get to him and go. Darrell, obviously 10 for 42 and a touchdown on the ground. I think Darrell played very well. And then obviously Patrick right there with 5 for 26. Mecole, 2 for 25. And then Burton, 1 for 5. On the opposite end, Miles Sanders is the starter. They gave him 7 carries for 13 yards. I think to me that was pretty impressive. And then Kenneth Gainwell, 3 for 31. The reason why I say those are impressive is because the Kansas City Chiefs run defense was not very good in the first 2 weeks. Do I believe that they've assured it up? No, most definitely not. Because none of those besides Jalen Hurts really is, scary, I guess you could say. But it still is a professional NFL running back. And for Miles Sanders to only get 7 for 13 and Kenneth Gainwell to get 3 for 31, I think they did pretty well in that aspect. Now, to break it down from a receiving standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, Travis Kelce only had 4 for 23. I want you to remember that. He was only targeted 6 times in this game. Now, Tyreek Hill had 12 targets, caught 11 of those balls, 186 yards, averaging 16.9. He did have a deep bomb from Patrick Mahomes, and he had 3 touchdowns on the day. That is an incredible, incredible stat line. I mean, just incredible. Tyreek Hill is doing, yet again, something special. Byron Pringle, 2 for 23, averaged 11.5. Travis Kelce, again, 4 for 23. Darrell Williams, 2 for 16. Mecole, 2 for 16. Clyde, 2 for 12. Jody Fortson, again, scoring a touchdown in the end zone. It looked pretty solid. Noah Gray had a target. It was right out of his hands. I'm a big Noah Gray fan. I think he's still working into the system. But I think what's kind of glaring to me is they had to go to Tyreek Hill 11 times, targeting 12 times. Byron Pringle didn't necessarily step up. I mean, he's not the one making the play calls, but there's a reason why he's only getting targeted twice. There's a reason why Mecole's only getting targeted 3 times. And then, outside of that, there's nobody else except for tight ends and some running backs. I mean, so with Josh Gordon potentially being active this coming week, I think that speaks to really the push that they're trying to get another receiver out there, another weapon for Patrick Mahomes. But I think it shows also that they're in desperate need of another really good receiver. I just don't think you target Tyreek Hill 12 times. I get that he's very shifty. He's great at doing his routes. He gets open, but you're also calling plays for Tyreek Hill, and he's getting open in that aspect, which would tell me that some of those other guys are not. I know Travis Kelce was blanketed a lot of the time, so this obviously was one of those games where he was shut down, but those can happen. Defenses scheme towards certain players. It just so happened this week they schemed towards Travis Kelce. On the other end, I was very, very impressed with Devonta Smith, 7 for 122. He did not have a touchdown, which was crazy. He was targeted 10 times. Zach Ertz, 6 for 60, targeted 8. Kenneth Gainwell, another dual threat, 6 for 58. Dallas Goedert, 5 for 56 with a touchdown. Dallas Goedert obviously has been doing pretty well. And then obviously the rest, Quez Watkins, kind of been paying attention to him a little bit. He got a little chirpy. Greg Ward, kind of a seasoned veteran, 1 for 15. And then Reagor, which was very interesting, only targeted once and had 1 reception for 9 yards. So that's really kind of how the offense shaped out. And as you guys can see, it was, again, just an insane offensive display for sure from both teams, really. Now, breaking down the defense, and I'm not going to dive into each individual player and how many, sacks they had. I will pick certain players that I think stood out. For me, L'Jarius Sneed had 3 solo tackles, 4 total tackles, and he had a sack. L'Jarius Sneed has been known to come off the edge as a corner, and this happens in Spags' defense. He did get another sack this year, and I'm sure it won't be his last. They definitely like to scheme and let him and the Honey Badger and other corners kind of come off the edge, fly off the edge pretty quickly and get to the quarterback. Mike Dana had a pretty solid game. He had 4 total tackles, 3 solo tackles, and he had 2 sacks, which speaks volumes for this Kansas City Chiefs defense because we cannot get to the quarterback. We just cannot. And that's going to be a problem. We're facing the Buffalo Bills this coming week, which will be another video, and I'll break that down. But if you cannot get to the quarterback and apply pressure to then make them potentially force turnovers or even hurry throws, or just it doesn't matter how loud the crowd is, if they can stand in the pocket and be consistent and, pick apart the defense, it's going to be a long, long season for this defense. And I get you're without Charvarius Ward. I get you're without Frank Clark, and I get that you're without a few other guys, but you still have to be able to apply pressure when you have guys like Chris Jones. And it's just, they're going to have to figure something out from this defensive standpoint. Now, I did like some of the things I saw on the other side. Javon Hargrave is a monster. He's an animal. He's been absolutely having a phenomenal year. He did get a sack. He had 6 total tackles for 3 solo, as you guys can see. One that was impressive to me was Avonte Maddox. He had 7 total tackles, 5 solo. Alex Singleton, 9 for 6. And Eric Wilson, 10 for 6. So there really were, some good play from both sides. But when you're giving up 42 and 30, there's some question marks going on those defenses for sure. But I really like some of the plays from both sides, like I definitely pointed out there. I'm going to go ahead and bring my face back up. In the end, guys, the grand scheme of things, the Chiefs did pull this one out, 42-30. That puts the Kansas City Chiefs at 2-2, and that puts the Philadelphia Eagles at 1-3. We also understand that the Philadelphia Eagles are in the NFC East, and 1-3 could possibly be, still into the fight at the end of the season. I mean, that division, it just isn't. It doesn't produce huge winners every year. So, but the Kansas City Chiefs are in last place. The Chargers and the Raiders did play last night. The Chargers pulled it out, so both teams are at 3-1. And they're sitting at the top. The Broncos are then obviously in third place, and then you got the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have to fight back. They are going to have to play with a chip on their shoulder. And that's kind of what we're going to have to expect going into the Buffalo Bills, a home game that's going to be on primetime TV, which we're going to talk about. But that really is my breakdown, guys. There's a lot of things that I definitely was paying attention to. The secondary, with not being able to apply pressure to the quarterback, your secondary play has to step up. And that's always tough when you have a professional NFL receiver who's been running routes and has perfected routes almost. I mean, some of those guys are really good at what they do. Devonta Smith obviously tore us up. And it's when you're not applying pressure and you give a quarterback all day, that's going to be tough on any corner. No matter who it is. I mean, it would be tough on even a Jalen Ramsey. So I just think that if you can apply pressure, we might start to see the secondary pick up a little bit as well. I know like I stated earlier, we've been without Charvarius Ward. I think Baker went down with an injury. Fenton's been out because of concussion protocol. I do think Baker's okay, but I thought he stepped out of the game for a little bit. So, yeah, it's starting to get a little taxing. But that's football. I mean, it's a contact sport. So I appreciate you guys checking out the Beat of KC. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this breakdown. If you guys have any more to comment, definitely put it in the comment section. I would absolutely enjoy having an engagement with you guys, talking about the football game and talking about what's coming next. Hopefully you guys, again, enjoyed this video. Appreciate you checking out the Beat of KC. And as always, have a good day.